Let's try out this game. And let's get my stream actually showing the things, because that's helpful. Screen one. Let's try this. Right, the tip of the spear was like a flash of lightning, a spearhead thrust to skewer the heart. Even attempting to evade it was pointless. It was but a flash, too swift for the human eye to follow. And yet, moonlight swept in to save me from the strike that threatened to end me. The sound is beautiful, like the tolling of a bell. No, truth be told, the sound hung over me, heavier than an iron weight. This beauty had little to do with aesthetics. The stark armor wrapped about her was like the frozen night itself. The ringing was not in itself pleasant. It was the sound of steel. But the night herself was beautiful enough to make it into the chiming of a bell.
To, あなたが私のマスターか?
Her voice resonated in the darkness.
召喚に従い参上した。これより我が剣はあなたと共にあり、あなたの運命は私と共にある。ここに契約は完了した。
Indeed, the pact was sealed. Just as she chose to serve me, I'm sure in that moment that I swore to save her. The moonlight cut through the darkness. As if in imitation of the night, the storehouse regained its former calm. Time had stopped. The vision before me had lasted less than a second. Be that as it may, I will always remember the sight of her, as clearly as if it were still happening now, even if I fall into the depths of hell. The faint slant of her profile, her serene, divinely green eyes. For a moment, time stopped, and her silhouette, draped in blue, swayed in the wind. I was struck by the pale blue glow. Her hair, as fine as golden thread, was bathed in moonlight. Fate. This happened 10 years ago. I see someone who takes me back. He's tall, with chiseled features. I've never known him to crack a joke. He ruffles my hair affectionately. No, that's not what this is. It's more like he's grasping my head and working it like a stubborn jar lid. Maybe he doesn't know how to control his strength. That's only to be expected. It's the first time he's ever done something like this. It's time for me to leave. You know what to do next. I answered yes in a somber voice. He nodded once, withdrew his hand, and stood up. That's all. Had I known this would be the last time we would ever see each other, I would have done my best to make him laugh with the perfect joke. I'd been practicing punchlines in private in the hopes of finally seeing a smile crack that stony face. If I have one regret, it's that I never got to tell him any of my jokes. Get the association in your debt before you become an adult. Any decisions after that, I leave up to you. I'm sure you'll manage on your own. Oh my gosh, Kat, why are you shedding so much? There's so much fur here. So he said, but I bet he was worried about me. He told me about our family's heirloom jewels, the gems passed down to us from our grandmaster, and how to manage the underground workshop. It was a rapid-fire course of subjects he'd never taught me before. Even as a child, I realized that he would probably never come home again. There was a war. Uh-oh, it's gonna be loud. Let that finish. Yep. Every single time my vacuum tries to empty itself, it's like, error. But it's like, oh, there's something blocking it, but there's nothing there, so I don't know what to say. Anyway, not a war between countries, but between people. But in this war, there were only 7 combatants. It might not have seemed fitting to call it a war, but having mages involved changes things. 7 mages from different factions competed, but I wasn't sure why. They killed each other using methods I didn't really understand. One of them was the man in front of me. It meant that he would kill and eventually be killed. I'm sure he felt the ticking of his life's clock even more keenly than I did. Rin, before long the Holy Grail will appear. It is the duty of the Tosakas to obtain it, but above all, it is a path we are destined to walk as mages. And with that, he ruffled my hair one last time and left. I never saw him again. My father/teacher was one of the masters who participated in the Holy Grail War. He never came home.
いってらっしゃいませ、お父様。
I bid him farewell, as a well-behaved daughter should. I knew I was on the verge of tears, but I didn't let them show. I loved him. He was a great father and an even greater mage. Mages are stubborn people. As far as I knew, there wasn't a more upstanding man in the whole world. As my instructor, he trained me. As my father, he loved me. So, I decided I'd accept the things he left for me and choose my own path. Rin, before long, the Holy Grail will appear. It is the duty of the Tosakas to obtain it, but above all, it is a path we are destined to walk as mages. In the end, his final words for me were given as a mage, not a father. That's the moment I made up my mind.
よし、それじゃあ一つ気合い入れて一人前になりますか。
It's only natural for an apprentice to live up to her master's hopes. That's how I, Rin Tosaka, grew up after experiencing life's twists and turns. It's been 10 years since my father went off to war. I wouldn't say I've been looking forward to this day, but I am a bit on edge. That goes without saying. After all, that moment which was burned into my memory 10 years ago will soon be upon me again. January 31st. I hear something. Ring, ring.
うるさい。止まれ。
The noise doesn't stop. It's such an infernal racket, it's almost as if it's here to avenge my father.
はいよ、もう。昨日は遅くまでやってたんだから。もうちょっと。
I wish it just let me sleep a bit more. In fact, it should. I stayed up into the early hours deciphering my father's will, and I used a hell of a lot of magical energy to do it. I'm totally exhausted, body and mind.
もう。融通の利かないやつ。
Ring, 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 ring. The alarm clock is deaf to my complaints. What kind of machine makes a noise that seems like its sole purpose is to remind you that you're late?
遅刻はまずい。
True, but there's a time and place for everything. No matter how much of an overachiever I am, I should try to make it to school on time, at least for today. If only slightly.
そうそう。あらかじめ30分ずらして目覚ましをセットしたんだから、あと30分は眠れるはず。
Doesn't that sound off?
30分ずらして？
I peer at the alarm clock through sleep-heavy eyelids. The hands point to 7 o'clock on the dot. I usually get up at 6:30, which means I've completely used up my safety margin. Speaking of which, why is my brain so slow in the morning? I glare at the alarm clock for several seconds. I shut off the alarm and climb sluggishly out of bed. The morning chill bites at me as I cross the hallway and enter the parlor. This is the final 7 a.m. in January. Winters in Toyuki are relatively warm, but the mornings here are cold as anywhere. Even at home, my breath mists white. It's that much colder without anyone else living here.
暖房暖房
I turn on the heater and go wash up. Single living is so inconvenient at times like these. If there was someone else here to wake up before me, then the parlor would already be heated. I wash my face at the sink. I run a brush through my long hair and get dressed. A chilly morning in a frigid bathroom. The only thing to be said for it is that the cold water mercilessly beats the sleepiness from me. With a final tug on the ribbon at my collar, I finish getting dressed. All that's left is to have breakfast and go to school. The clock reads just past 7, so my morning rush feels a bit anticlimactic.
なんだこれなら走っていく必要もないか
Of course, I'd never do anything so uncouth as sprinting to school. The Tosaka family motto dictates that we conduct ourselves with confidence and elegance at all times. My ancestors must have been some high and mighty aristocrats if that's what we've taught through the generations. The anachronistic mansion I live in is proof enough of that. Plus, the Tosakas are a line of spell weavers who practice what is known as magecraft. We're not just an old family, we have an admirably storied history.
まあ自慢できることでもないんだけど
In fact, I literally can't talk about it. The truth is, I'm a mage. Who could I even brag about that to? As the name suggests, magecraft is what most normal people would see as magic. It sounds like some supernatural woo-woo, and if you like to think of it as just wiggling your fingers and saying abracadabra, that's fine too. Just think of us as people who chant weird words and make equally weird stuff happen. That said, we don't fly around on broomsticks. We don't shoot stars out of wands either. We can do things kind of like that, but there's no point, so we don't. We're pretty much heretics who lurk in the shadows of society. We're not allowed to draw attention to ourselves, and anyone who has the time for that kind of thing would rather spend it on their research. Ordinary humans might call us magicians, but that would be wrong. In fact, there are only 5 magicians in the whole world. Magicians are what we call people who can do something no one else can. They can accomplish feats beyond the means of modern science and perform genuine miracles. Similarly, magic is the label we use for mystics, magical mysteries, that can't be realized with any amount of time or skill. While magecraft, though it looks mysterious, is something anyone can do with enough time and resources. I'm a mage, and the kind of mystics I use are merely magecraft, not true magic. Confusing, I know, but that's how it works. Also, modern civilization doesn't accept the existence of mages. We believe in, manipulate, and study things that can't be measured, which puts us at odds with modern society. Above all, there's no point to any of what we do. You'd be so much happier just going off to a normal school and becoming a normal adult than you would studying magecraft. Human technology has accomplished great things. For the last few centuries, magecraft has been playing catch-up to the progress of civilization. Nothing is impossible for humanity anymore. Miracles that could only be realized with magecraft in the distant past have been reduced to common tools and appliances. Even so, magecraft does have its benefits. Just as there are some things only science can accomplish, there remain heights only mystics can reach. If science is racing into the future, then mages are racing into the past. I think the Tosaka Grandmaster said that. Whether you're heading into the past or the future, your destination is the same. 0, or something like that. We can shelve the difficult topics for now. Philosophy is for the elderly. So where's like the main screen so I could do saving and things? I finish my breakfast and pick up my bag.
そうだペンダント持っていかないと
I'm reluctant to take something so valuable to school, but it would be a waste to leave it behind.
何しろ100年ものの石だものねうちにある宝石の中じゃダントツで最強だし
One could even say it's on an entirely different level. I obtained the gem after decoding my father's will last night. It's imbued with 10 years worth of my own magical energy. I've been told that the Tosaka family has heirloom jewels passed down since the olden days, and this might be one of them. Tosaka mages specialize in the conversion and flow of power. We channel our magical energy into precious gems whenever we have a spare moment. Simply put, I'm the gun and the jewels are bullets. The other main thing I've inherited from my father is the magic crest engraved into my left arm. A magic crest is proof that I'm the heir to our lineage. It's like all the techniques of the Tosaka condensed into a tattoo.
まだ始まったわけじゃないけど、用心に越したことはないか。
For now, I stow my pendant, my father's keepsake, in a pocket.
切り札だものね。これに秘められた魔力ならできないことはないぐらいなんだし。
It's 7:30. I'd better leave soon if I don't want to be late for school.
シュミスフィルファレントライ。
I weave energy into a brief foreign phrase. As a mage, I can't neglect the security of my home base. That still applies even if I've never had so much as a single burglar, lost child, or stray cat wander into my home. Actually, I don't think the neighbors have ever even come over to say hello.
別にいいけどね。野良猫でさえ入ってこないってどういうことよ。
Are those like broken windows? I look up at the mansion that's been my home for over a decade. Fuyuki is a strange city. One side of the intersection dividing the residential areas is filled with old samurai estates, while the side I'm on has an abundance of mansions built in European style. Apparently, a whole bunch of foreign families immigrated here long ago, but I've never seen a single foreigner around. There's even a cemetery for foreigners in Shinto, the new part of the city, across the river, but it was built for the generation that immigrated here.
日本の土が合わなかったのかな。
I make a mental note to ask the priest about it next time I visit the church. He's nothing if not full of boring trivia, for sure.
あれ？
Something feels off as soon as I step outside.
なんだろう。思ったより静かなんですけど。
There's no trace of the typical morning bustle. At 7:30 in the morning, there would normally be students and workers on their daily commute.
まあ、こういう日もあるか。
Maybe everyone slept in. It's unusually cold today, so everyone must be snuggled up in bed.
けどさすがに。
Even if that were true, it's strange that there isn't a single student on the street. At this time of day, you'd expect to see at least a school uniform or two. And yet, from where I'm standing at the school gate, it looks like morning club activities are just starting up. Which can only mean...
あれ、遠坂？今朝は一段と早いのね。
やっぱりそうきたか。
With a light sigh, I turn to face the student who called out to me.
おはよう。今日も寒いね、こりゃ。
The girl who addresses me so casually is Ayako Mitsuzuri. She's my classmate in 2A, and she has quite a history.
おはよう、三辻さん。つかぬことを聞くけど、今何時だかわかる？
何時って、7時前じゃない。大阪寝ぼけてる？
She waves her hand in front of my face as if to ask if anybody's home. Ayako is one of my few friends, and she knows I'm not a morning person. She's probably figured out by now that I'm still not completely with it.
うちの時計、1時間早かったみたい。しかも軒並み。
I thought it was just my alarm clock.
柱時計まできっかり早まってた。
Oh, never mind. What's going on here? Father must have set the clocks to go haywire once I took the pendant out of the underground cellar.
どうした？
気にしないで。別に大したことじゃないから。それより、三辻さんは今日も朝練？
ああ、弓道部は問題児も多いし、うまいのは一人減ったからね。4月の新入生獲得のために少しぐらいは見栄えを良くしとかないと。
そう。気苦労が絶えないのね、相変わらず。
他人事だからって言ってくれるわ。あ、ついでだから見ていく？遠坂が見学する分には男どもも喜ぶけど。
弓道部か。
I'm acquainted with 3 of its members. One is Ayako, the girl I'm talking to now. I barely ever speak to the other 2. Of those latter 2, there's one that I actually can't explain away as simply an acquaintance. I became friends with Ayako, the club captain, because I'd been watching the club from afar.
そうね。様子を見るだけなら付き合うわ。早く来すぎたからやることもないし。
よし、じゃあ善は急げ。早速行こう。
One of our school's trademarks is its well-equipped archery range. The the chair of the school board has a passion for kyudo, traditional Japanese archery, so they built a magnificent range on campus. It's kind of a waste for a high school club, to be honest.
ほらほら、まだ開始まで時間があるし、中でお茶しようぜ、遠坂。
Ayaka tugs on my arm, looking somewhat pleased. If I'm being honest, her brusque way of speaking is a bad habit. As Ayaka said, there's no one else at the range. We sip Japanese tea that's so hot it numbs my tongue as we prepare ahead for today's classes. The hot drink is delicious in the quiet, wintry archery range.
さて、単刀直入に聞くけど、そっちの調子はどうなのよ、遠坂。いい加減頼りになる相棒は見つかった？
And she uses the occasion to ask me something completely ridiculous.
ほんといきなり本題に入るのね、あなたは。その言いぶりだとそっちはもう見つけたんだ。
ノーコメント。遠坂が手を沸かすまではこっちも秘密さ。で、どうなのよ。その疲れた顔を見ると脈ありって感じだけど。
こっちもノーコメント。あなたに隠してもどうせ見抜かれるか。残念ながらこっちはまだよ。綾子の方はお互いのんびりしてる余裕はないはずだけど。
そうなんだけど、私も雲行きは怪しいわ。とりあえず取り繕うことはできるけど、ことがことでしょ。この先の命運がかかってるんだから妥協するわけにもいかないし。
勝手に決めて私に負けるのも嫌？
もちろん。私にとって重要なのはあんたを任すことだもの。何が手に入るとか何を手に入れるとかは二の次よ。
She chuckles confidently.
似た者同士ね、私たち。
ええ、初めて会った時に言ったでしょ。あんたとはそういう関係にあるんだって。
She did, didn't she? Kill or be killed. I'm sure that's how it'll be between the two of us. I was genuinely surprised to have someone say that right off the bat. Translation? Our friendship won't bloom unless we're constantly trading blows. It's what Ayako was getting at. I agree with her. In the 2 years since then, I still haven't figured out whether she's my friend or my nemesis.
ところでさ、私たちなんでこんな話してるんだっけ？
なんでって言い出したのは遠坂でしょ。あんたがいつまでも彼氏がいないのは女としてどうよなんてこぼすもんだから。なら3年になる前にどっちが先に男作るかって勝負になったんじゃない。
そうだった。売り言葉に買い言葉ってやつだった。で、遅れを取った方が一日言いなりになるんだっけ？
ええ、今時子供でも交わさない約束だけど、あんたと私に限って往生際が悪いってことはないでしょ。どんな結果になろうと負けた方はおとなしく勝者に従うことになる。それを思うと私は今から楽しみで楽しみで。
Ayaka snickers in delight. My goodness. Ayaka Mitsuzuri is, to put it mildly, a handful. I'll admit, I'm looking forward to winning myself, so that goes for us both.
そう。けど三辻さん、楽しむのは結構だけど、目的を違えないよう気をつけなさい。勝負の内容は後先だけじゃないでしょ。
分かってるって。遠坂より早く遠坂が心底羨ましがるような関係にならないと完全勝利とは言えないからね。ま、私たちにとってはそれが一番厄介な問題なんだが、どんなにいい男だろうと好きになれなきゃ意味がない。
Ayaka's sigh is heavy. From what I've heard, she's known as a bit of a misandrist. Can't put too much stock in gossip, though. That she made this bet at all means less that she just doesn't like boys and more that she hasn't found the right person. That aside...
ちょっと、私たちって何よ、私たちって。断っておきますけど、私はそっちと違って冷血感じゃありません。男の子を好きになるなんて問題でも何でもないわ。
ああ、それ嘘。もしくは気づいていないだけ。遠坂が男を気にかけるなんてことは絶対ないもの。 今まで数えきれないぐらい告白されたくせに一つも色良い返事してないじゃない。少しでも興味があるなら付き合おうって思うでしょ。なのに断り続けるってことは、あんたは男に興味がないってことよ。
発想が貧困ね。その場合すでに好きな相手がいるから断ってるって話もありじゃない？
うわ、すっごい美談。いいね、そういうの。ロマンだな。
Ayaka's tone isn't mocking. She nods solemnly. Her sigh tells me that it would be nice if it were true. I don't believe myself. I really can't hide anything from her.
そうね。私もそう思う。
She's right. I know very well how cold I am.
認めるわ。私、こと恋愛に関しては素人みたい。
そういうこと。似た者同士だって言ったのは遠坂でしょ。もうじき7時か。秘密の話はこの辺にしとこう。いつ人がやってくるかわからないし、朝になったら学生らしく振る舞わないとな。
まあ、三辻さんにもそういう世間体があったなんて意外だわ。
あんたほど筋金入ってないけどね。私の世間体なんて遠坂凛に比べたら灯籠の斧ってもんよ。あんたの猫っかぶりは擬態っていうより別人格のレベルよ。別人格。
Ayaka sniffs exaggeratedly. I empty the rest of the teacup she poured me and brew a new pot.
で、遠坂はどうして部活に入らないのよ。運動神経がないなんてざれ言は聞かないからね。私は去年の体力測定でことごとくあんたに負けたのまだ恨んでるんだから。
あら、肺活量では三辻さんに負けたわよ、私。あと、体重も三辻さんのが上だったけど。
やったー、重さで3キロ上回ったって体重で勝っても嬉しくないってのよ、このタヌキ。
Ayaka slaps the table.
危ない。お茶がこぼれるでしょ、三辻さん。首相なんだから道場は大事になさい。
うるさい。私は首相である前に遠坂のライバルだ。部員がいなけりゃあんたに食ってかかるのは当然よ。
Ayaka side-eyes me with a huff. She has a unique idea about beauty. A beautiful woman must walk the martial path. She's always going on about that. Not surprisingly, she's well versed in most martial arts. Kyudo was the discipline she was least skilled at, so she joined the club and worked her way up to captain. She's probably one of the top 3 people in our school you'd least want to mess with.
あら、部員がいなければ首相じゃないなんて問題発言じゃない？それ。
問題発言なもんですか。私はお飾りの首相だから、できることって言ったら不良部員を取り締まることだけよ。私以上にしゃがりっぱなやつがいるんだから、首相としての面目なんてないわ。
そうなの？藤村先生、三辻さんは飛び抜けてうまいって言ってたけど。
あの人がそう言うんなら、そりゃ少しは自信が持てるけど、まあいなくなっちまったやつのことなんて考えても仕方ないか。そうね、藤村先生がそう言ってくれたんなら真面目に首相やんないとまずいか。
そうそう、噂をすれば影。そろそろ部員がやってくる頃でしょ。私はおいとまするけど、三辻さんはきちんと首相になりなさい。
何、見ていかないの？シャ。
見てもわからないもの。遠くから眺める分にはいいけどね。不心得者が道場にいるわけにはいかないでしょ。
Just as I get up to leave, the first club members begin entering the archery range.
おはようございます、首相。
ああ、おはようマト。今朝は一人？
はい、力になれず申し訳ありません。
ああ、いいっていいって。本人が弓をやらないって言うんなら無理をさせても仕方がない。
Ayaka speaks to the first club member to arrive.
それじゃあ失礼するわ。また後でね、三辻さん。
ああ、また後でね、遠坂。
お疲れ様です。 遠坂先輩。ありがとう。さくらもしっかりね。
I leave the dojo behind so as not to get in the way.
やあ遠坂、おはよう。朝から君に会えるなんてついてるな。
Oh no. And here comes the person I least wanted to see.
おはようマトウくん。今日は早いのね。
当たり前だろ。首相なんだから早めに来ないと一年に示しがつかないじゃないか。
Shinji Mato from Class 2C grins at me. He's the vice captain of the Kyudo Club and darling of half the girls at school. It's mostly thanks to his looks, of course, but he's also admired for his good grades, social graces, being kind to girls, and being an overall heartthrob or something like that. I really don't follow that kind of stuff. It's just what I hear my classmates say.
そう。ご機嫌なところ悪いんだけど、一文字抜けてるわ、マトウくん。大事な字だから忘れない方がいいと思うけど。
一文字抜けてるって何がさ。
幸福の福。字は違うけど響きは一緒でしょ、副首相さん。気をつけなさい。別に首相も副首相も変わらないけど、変に意識するとこだわってるみたいに聞こえるでしょ。
そうだね。今後は気をつける。ありがとう遠坂。
What about his looks is appealing? There's nothing appealing there.
お礼を言われるようなことはしてないけど、まあマトウくんがそう思ったのなら私には関係ないか。
With that, I turn to leave the range.
ちょっと待てよ。見学に来たんだろ。なら見ていけばいいじゃないか。遠坂なら大歓迎だよ。
遠慮するわ。練習の邪魔をしたくないもの。
そんなの構わないよ。他の連中が気に障るんなら締め出すからさ。ちょっと寄っていけって。
だから邪魔をする気はないって言ってるでしょ。それに私別に弓道に興味があるわけじゃないから、知らないやつのシャを見ても嬉しくないわ。
なんだよ遠坂、弓道に興味はなかったのか。へえ。だっていうのに放課後になると遠くから見てたのはそういうわけかな。
I don't know what he's playing at, but he seems to have seriously misunderstood things.
なんだ、知ってたのマトウくん。
ああ、よく目があったんだぜ。僕と遠坂。シャを終えてさ、斬新の時に限って遠坂は僕を見ていたろ。
Everything about this guy is just like creep.
声を返したかったけど一応決まりでね。車上では声を上げちゃいけないんだ。
Shinji starts closing in on me, looking pleased with himself. I see the triumphant glint in his eye, competing with that affable smile.
勘違いしてたよ。遠坂は弓が好きなんだと思ってたけど、弓道には興味がないんだろ。ならなんで遠坂は道場を見ていたのかな。
Ah, now I see. It would sound like that, wouldn't it?
離れてくれないかしら、マトウくん。私あまり人に近寄られるのは好きじゃないし。
Step on you.
なに遠坂。
あきれた。ここまで言ってもわからないのね。趣味じゃないけど仕方ないか。簡単にあなたにも理解できるように言ってあげる。いいマトウくん。私は弓道に興味がない以上にあなたに興味はないって言ってるのよ。実際あなたが車上にいたなんて今初めて知ったぐらいだし、きっとこれからも目に入らないわ。
なんだと。
I must have touched a nerve, because he tries to grab me roughly. I twist out of his reach and turn to leave.
それじゃあね、マトウくん。自意識過剰なのも結構だけど、ほどほどにしておいた方がいいわよ。
遠坂、お前。
Shinji sounds like he's about to say something, but he keeps his temper and doesn't chase after me. The guy is all style and no substance. If he had even a little backbone, the people around him wouldn't suffer nearly so much. I take the rear entrance into campus from the archery range. It's past 7 now, but there still aren't students in the hallways.
あれ遠坂さんだ。おはようございます、藤村先生。
おはよう遠坂さん。ちゃんと挨拶してくれて先生は嬉しいよ。
A strange woman pretends to sob in delight. It may be hard to believe, but this extraordinarily affectionate and happy-go-lucky woman is actually a teacher here.
先生、ちゃんと挨拶をする以外にする挨拶があるのでしょうか？
あるわよ。1年生はちゃんと挨拶してくれるんだけどね、上級生になってくると私の名字で挨拶しないんだから。遠坂さんはああいう輩の真似しちゃダメだからね。
はあ、よくわかりませんけど、先生に失礼なことはしませんが。
よしよし。ああ、みんながみんな遠坂さんみたいだったらいいのにな。
With a parting wave and a see ya, Miss Fujimura leaves. Fortunately, she isn't my homeroom teacher. Miss Fujimura teaches English. Her sunny attitude belies her expert rank in Japanese fencing, kendo. In her student days, they called her the Fuyuki Tiger. That's the mystery, though. You'd think someone known as a tiger would be feared, not adored, right? Miss Fujimura cheerily heads off in the direction of the archery range. For some reason, she's the faculty advisor to the Kyudo Club instead of the Kendo Club. It's just before 7:30. I can see students doing their club activities on the school grounds, but there's hardly anyone indoors. Except...
遠坂
He always blurts out my name like I did something wrong every time he sees me.
あら、生徒会長。こんな朝早くから校舎の見回り？それとも各部室の手入れかしら？どっちでもいいけど相変わらず豆ね、そういうとこ。
そういうお前こそ何を企んでいる？部活動もしていないお前がこんな早くに何の用か？
ただの気まぐれよ。竜斗くんちみたいに早起きじゃないもの、私。
The student council president's handsome face darkens with suspicion. He seems to have it out for me. I really don't know why. Maybe me saying temples are so dull, pass, is what started it.
一つ聞いておくが、最近夜遅くまで校舎にいたことはあるか？遠坂。
ないわね。私が帰宅部だって知ってるでしょ、竜斗くんは。
当然だ。生徒会長を任された以上、全校生徒の情報は把握している。
そう。なら私に聞くまでもないでしょ。なんだってそんなことを聞くか知らないけど、生徒会の仕事を部外者に押し付けちゃまずいんじゃない？情報収集は一人でやりなさいよ。私みたいな部外者に頼らないで。
たわけ、お前のどこが部外者だ？うちの会計の首根っこ掴んで悪さをしたのを知らぬと思ったが、このめぎつれ。
あら、人聞きが悪いわね。あれは三辻さんに頼まれて部費の割合を明らかにしただけでしょ。みんなの予算がどこに使われているか調べるなんて生徒として当然の行為だと思うけど。
なんと、うちの会計を1週間休ませた精神的ダメージが当然の行為なのか？とんでもない倫理観をお持ちのようだな、相変わらず。
Alright, unfortunately I need to go pick up my daughter from school, so I will continue this later. Though whether later is tonight or Friday, I have no idea. Or maybe even tomorrow, I don't know. Anyway, but regardless, I will continue this later. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye!